Here we go.
Welcome back to 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast, a show focused on highlighting the illustrious Prairie View A&M University, the HBCU of Texas, by promoting SWAC and the HBCU experience, featuring your fellow PV Panthers, Roland Austin, Jay Cleasy, Big Mike Washington, three-time SWAC champ Gati Werema, former drum major HBCU band historian Shawnetta Haskell, and Al Williams, driving the show from the Hill. Please subscribe and follow us on social media at 1876 SCP. And don't forget, we do it for the culture.
Welcome to the 1876 Sports and Culture Podcast. Still in Black History Month, and the news is not stopping, man. Last week we talked about the early departure of President Ruth J. Simmons, and her departure was scheduled to be at the end of this semester, so she had an early departure based on some policy, quote-unquote policy, from the Board of Regents of the A&M system.
Well, big air quotes.
Right.
Big old air quotes.
So we found out this week on her way home, she couldn't even get all the way home, bruh. And Rice was like, ma'am, excuse us, ma'am. We have a spot for you here, and you could be a senior advisor to our president, because we still see value. We know what your name is, and we know everything that you bring to the table. So please come on over here. And I don't even think they took 4 business days. There was no. They didn't have a meeting. There was no Zoom call. There was no discussion. No debate. They just pulled the trigger.
Right.
Because we know that you know people that write checks.
Hey,
say that part. Say that part.
You know, it was good because it did happen fast, and I think they recognized the true value. But you got to also realize that Dr. Simmons also had a pretty strong relationship with Rice. Previously, I think she even sat on the board. So it wasn't a hard, swing. But you know what? I think they saw it as like they got the hand with the big joker, little joker, ace, king. They like, ooh.
They were like, we're about to run this Boston.
I say your man ain't treating you right, huh?
What's that song they play at Texas State? Man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they were quick with this, but I'm not mad at them. I am not mad at them.
By no means. They saw the perfect opportunity and they took it. Timing was perfect.
Good for her.
Yeah. So
and I was on the yard Tuesday, and she is not stressed at all about this. She was just as happy-go-lucky herself. And it's just a constant reminder to me that she didn't need to be at PV. She wanted to be a PV. Oh, she's still there. She wants to be at PV. So,
see, Black women of a certain age just have a certain grace about them, where you ain't about to worry them. They done did all the worrying they're gonna do in their life, and you can't worry them no more. Yep. So I'm here for that. She got her queen status. She ain't started wearing the hats yet, but she already in queen status. So I ain't mad at her at all, man. I'm here for it.
She was the only thing that I would ask. The only thing that I would ask is just for the seniors, just to allow her signature to be on their diploma.
That is ridiculous.
I asked her about that last night, man. She was at the game. She was in very good spirits, had a smile on her face, rooting hard for the team as she normally does. And I turned around and I said, President Simmons, because I always got to talk to her when I see her, just because.
Yes.
I said, President Simmons, you know them kids, you're going to have a bunch of 21-year-olds who kind of hot because your signature isn't going to be on their diploma. She was like, yeah, I know, it's we'll have to figure something out if possible. I said, they gonna come knocking on your door. Don't be surprised if they come knocking on your door
Man,
talking
they gonna
about,
have a
hey,
booth set up outside of
Hey.
graduation. Come on, hey, right here, $50, bro, $50. I can see if she gonna sign it right here.
She gonna sign it. We got some white out here.
because whatever fool y'all about to put in place, we don't want they signature on our diploma.
Yeah, that is so foul, man. And I hope that they continue to push and push and push and get them to retract that and allow her signature to go on their diplomas. Because she has shown those students what excellence looks like. And to go back
Yes.
to what you were saying, Al, is like, it's a little bit further than just age, but when your work ethic and your work product speaks for itself, it gives you that boldness that you walk in, that you don't have to worry about what anybody else is saying, because and you're very confident in what you know. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways that she left those kids with. And so it demands that her signature goes on their diplomas.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, she is president emeritus from here on out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
So,
Hard
and I,
shoes to
I,
follow.
I have no problem with them starting to name buildings after her. I'm here for all of that.
Right.
All right. So, in some other news, I got an email this week from Dean of the College of Engineering, Dean Obioma, and Campus Real released their best colleges for mechanical engineering in Texas this week. I'll give you one guess as to who was number one on that list.
Look, let's start with who was number two. And if that has any
Who are you
correlation.
rooting for? BV. So Prairie View ranked number one. Now let me explain what this poll was. So they did basically they analyzed the earnings after graduation, student loan debt, and a host of other variables to determine what colleges and universities offer the best mechanical engineering programs in Texas. Number one, Prairie View A&M, average salary $75,775, average debt $27,300. Number two,
Wow.
Texas A&M College Station. Oh man, I was giddy. I need Roland Martin's email because I got a gaslight. I got plenty of gas. But average salary there $73,697, average debt $18,886. Number three was Lamar. Number four was SMU. 5 UT Austin. But I guess the spirit of the discussion is PV was number one.
He said, "Yeah, number one. We are number one."
Yes. Yes. So I'm here for all of that. So I was excited. I emailed that all across all the company emails. I sent it to HR. I was like, see, this is why these babies not accepting your offer. You not meeting the minimum standard. Y'all need to raise the bar.
Look, and don't get one that has a 3.5, 3.6, 3.7.
Oh yeah,
hard
you
to
can just
talk
forget about it. Just forget about it.
The part I
Just
love
forget
though
about
is people got to understand it. Hey, you can go to one of those super high expensive schools and end up coming out owing 100,000 or whatever. But at the end of the day, we all end up at the same place. You get a degree from PV, we ended up at the same place, dog. That you got your degree and you paid all that money for it and didn't have the opportunity to grow and become who you are, while of the 4 or 5 years you on campus. So, hey man, choose wisely.
Yeah.
Choose ye this day. All right. So now we in the middle of intake season on the yard. So it's a lot of kids walking around stressed out, trying to figure out if they need to go call mama for that big check or not. Because, you get that phone call, you got to have your money ready. Ain't no finish the process and then pay. You got to have that money ready up front. But it's a lot of folks didn't get that phone call. So if you are one of those folks, because when is Spring Fest? Spring Fest is what? Early April or
Right
into
after
March?
spring break, I think.
Yeah, I think it's right after spring break.
So
March,
everybody has to be done prior to Spring Fest. So counting backwards from Spring Fest, if you ain't got a call, It might be
Yeah.
tight.
Because they done
It might
started
be
now. At
tight.
At
this
this
point,
point, it's already tight on you because they had them calls going out before you got back from school.
probably a couple weeks ago, they
Hey,
got them
some people
calls.
had tap day. They got tapped last semester, but they just got
Right,
called last week.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm gonna leave that where it is. We don't need to discuss that further. But but yeah, if you didn't get a call, here let's share some wisdom for these babies. First of all, the first time somebody knows you're interested cannot be the interest meeting.
Nope. It's
Whoever
off
gave you
already.
that advice told you a lie from the pit of hell. You need to show up at every activity and every event that organization has, and don't be going to everybody's.
You better choose one.
You got to choose before you start going.
Well, you know what? I wonder if do you think things have changed any?
No, they
It's
haven't.
still the
I
same.
promise you.
Okay,
I promise
all
you.
right.
I
Because
still got one that's on
kids
the
have,
yard, and he
okay,
said, "Nah,
still
they
saying the
pay
same
attention.
thing.
They
Okay,
pay
all
attention."
right. Because I'm like, man, these kids they some interesting beasts these days.
And
I
they can be
just
as interesting as they want to, but
I'm
you
telling
know
you,
you get caught going to a Q meeting and you talking about you want to be an alpha.
it
You
ain't
gonna
gonna
get your
happen.
feelings hurt, bro.
okay. All right, all
Because
right.
the Qs will call the alphas and be like, "Hey, man, he was over here."
Your boy was here. You seen him. Here go a picture.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you.
And
And
here go
what
another.
about? Go ahead, Joe.
You better if you got a personal relationship with somebody who already got the letters on on their chest, you better speak up and let it be known to that individual that you want to be down. Don't be talking about, well, I didn't know. Child,
No,
please, networking.
or
That's what
you
it's
knew.
about.
You knew I wanted to play.
No,
Hey, PV Greeks don't recruit,
no,
so I'm not about to ask you if you want to pledge.
at
That's
all.
that's up to you. That's a personal decision that I'm not asking. We don't recruit. You need to show yourself approved. So here's another one. Don't show up at an interest meeting with all these different colors on. Don't show up at the Delta interest meeting with some green pants on.
Ooh,
Don't show up at the AKA interest meeting with a gold shirt on. There is a etiquette here.
I
Black
think
slacks, white shirt, not a low cut, white neck length shirt. No jewelry. Don't you come with no pearls around your neck. No jewelry.
And my mama gave me
Stud gold earrings. No
that's it.
jewels on them. Just stud gold earrings.
What
That's
color?
it.
What color do the dudes wear to
Same
practice?
thing. Black suit, white shirt, black tie, black hard sole shoes, and black socks.
but my
That's
daddy gave
specific.
me this gold tie. I've been waiting to wear it.
Hey, you wear that gold tie if you want to. Hey, that first ain't free, but after that, no sir. So y'all need to learn the etiquette. And even when you go into these activities, if you want to participate, you need to be mindful of what you have on. If you go into a cleanup, it's blue jeans, white shirt, white t-shirt, white long sleeve shirt, white long john shirt, white shirt with no whiting on it. You
Better
should
act
be
like
indiscriminate from anybody else.
dressed like it's the late '90s, early 2000s in Houston, Texas.
Man,
I'm
them
I
trying
kids
get
to
wasn't
tell
even
you.
born then.
Because otherwise, you will have a nickname before you have your interview. They can be like, next interview is such and such. Who is that? Oh, she had on, gold shirt. Green pants, green pants. Oh, so at that point, you done lost the vote already. Your
you
application
gonna
can be
make
tight
fun
as
of
you
me.
want it to be, but you ain't gonna make the cut.
No, you're not.
And when you
Chanel
get to the
what say
interview,
you?
how
What
about
say
you
you?
prepare? Prepare for an interview. If they ask you, what do you bring to the table, or why do you want to be a part of the organization? If you don't have an answer for that, baby, it ain't time.
Cause my roommate won, and they look cool around the yard.
I like the way they step. My auntie, she a
no,
AKA.
I think all of those points are valid, but it's also, especially on a campus of PV, I'm talking, I'm a Delta, and you know, my understanding was there were maybe like over 300 that attended the rush. They can't take all 300, right? And so you have to shine, right? And it's PV. You know, you have such a vast science and engineering, from architecture, engineering, your biologies, and so it's a little tight for those low GPAs. A little
Hey,
tight.
and it ain't every year. Ain't no line every year no more. It's every other year. So
Yeah,
if you miss this one, basically you coming back out your senior year
yeah.
because you can't go out until you're a sophomore.
and,
So
and tight on you if they say we ain't taking seniors this year.
But you know what I would do? I would encourage the Greeks on the yard to reconsider that. And again, I understand you can't take an entire line of seniors, but these are beyond the flagpoles. And so when you think about, my understanding, like with Kappa's, like that space that they have for homecoming, they all went in, that the alum of Zeta Beta went in to get that spot. And so the service doesn't end when you leave review. So you can still be those seniors can still be of service to that chapter and to Prairie View and do things in the name of that chapter far beyond the time that they leave the yard.
Yeah, I
amen to
agree.
that.
I agree.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the challenge is with the every other year cadence, and sometimes it's not the organization's fault. And in some cases, I know in the past few years we've had issues with COVID. We've had issues with organizations going on probation for one thing or another. So a lot of times it's out of their control, but we really need to get to a point where we can do it every year, because otherwise you end up with one or two folks on the yard trying to bring in a group of 75.
Mhm.
And then you got to lean on the alumni group, and it's just a different experience. It's a different
Yeah.
experience. So yeah, hopefully they can get that together. But all y'all who didn't get a call, next year don't change and go say, well, I couldn't get in Dell, so I'm going to go to the AK. You bet not. You bet not.
No. Oh, it happens, bro. I'm gonna.
Oh, it happened.
Oh, it happens.
It
Hey,
happened.
let's move
Cats
on.
will be all the way online and change.
See, oh Lord, oh Lord. All right, I want to talk about the Denver Foundation came out with a study that stated that Black households give 25% more of their income annually to charity versus their white counterparts. That's the total $11 billion annually. The money is so. I guess the key point is the money to support HBCUs is there. $11 billion
Yeah, but
over
Reb ain't on campus.
136 HBCUs.
The right Reverend Dr. Feelgood is not on campus. Now, if he
Yeah,
was on
that's true.
campus, say, man, I grew
See,
up in this, bro. I'd have seen it happen. I'd have seen it.
so we need to have church in the Baby Dome on Sundays and have
hey, that's how you have. That's how you raise money.
You know what? I'll just tell my little background from a couple years ago. About, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, I made the conscious decision to split my tithe money between the church I was attending at the time and PVU. So PV got 5% of my tithe money, simply because I felt it was equally as important to support and educate our kids as it was to save their souls, in my
Yep.
opinion. So I made that conscious decision. Everybody can't give 10% here and then give another 5% there. So, but the money is in the Black community
Yeah.
to support our schools and help our schools flourish. There's no doubt. Nobody can say otherwise.
And it says little as $25 per month. It's just that small amount. One Starbucks
Chanel,
a
you
week.
sound like the commercials on Sunday morning. Just $25 a month could help.
Exactly.
help feed a child.
My Sally Struthers. Yeah.
Just $25 a month could help. Send a kid to the baby dome.
But yeah, we got it, man.
We got to shoot that commercial to MSC. $25
Right.
to help feed this kid right here.
We gotta get the slow B-roll of kids walking around campus looking hungry.
With they Mercedes Benz dirty.
Right. I love your kids going to school these days. Boy, I tell you.
See,
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well, I had another story, but I'm gonna save it for next week since next week will be our last week of Black History Month. I want to talk about next week. One Lawrence Trudeau, aka Mr. T, for those in the Gen X.
Oh,
Those that know, he did attend Prairie View, and there's some history there. So I'll save that story for next week. Let's take a
yeah.
quick break, and we'll be right back with basketball.
it's a heck of a teaser.
Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like yeah. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the. Y'all don't really want it like
All right. Well, the basketball season is starting to wind down, so let's start with the ladies. They on a 2-game win streak.
Yeah. They 9-5 in conference, sitting at the 5th seat. So they are firm with 4 games left in the season. They are firmly in the Southwest Athletic Conference. The latest game they played at home against Pine Bluff and won 78-68 with the usual suspects. Tamirica Taylor, 12 points. Diana Rosenthal, 14. Michaela Hutchinson, 12 points. They looked really good. I think they were really gelling as a team, and they're definitely going to cause some trouble in the tournament. That last home game against TSU on March the 4th is going to be nice.
It's gonna be a doozy.
Man, I might have to drive down for that one.
Yeah, man.
You
But
better get your spot now, because it's
Right.
yeah, you better get a ticket because the men's team, they're currently sitting 6-8 in conference play at the 8th seed.
Wow.
They pulled off a win against Pine Bluff, 82-71. Will Douglas had 31, a quiet 31. It was just smooth,
Yeah, it was.
man.
yeah.
Our Mr. Rossaz had his usual 17 points and just filled up the stat sheet across the board. But the men again are an 8th seed. Is like what, 5 teams sitting?
I think it's 4 teams sitting at 6 and 8.
Sitting at
Okay.
So with 4 games left in the season, there is no doubt that last home game against TSU for the men will decide if they're in a SWAC tournament or not.
Yeah,
So
we need the Pantherettes. Call the Pantherettes out, man. We need the
it's gonna
Pantherettes
be-
out there.
It's gonna be like in the Baby Dome. The band was at the game.
Oh,
Pine
man.
Bluff game.
They
In
were
AK,
crunk.
they was hyped. They was crunk. Shanetta, you'd have been happy. You'd have been proud of them kids.
I think
They
had
really
some
set the
crunk
tone.
juice or something, because they was
Yeah, man. They was on
Some
one.
crunk juice. I hadn't heard
they,
that
they
term.
were booing the team and talking trash to the other team.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I love the energy, and you could tell the team loved it as well.
Oh yeah.
So that March 4th game against TSU, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be. I suspect it's going to be jam-packed, standing room only type situation because everybody's gonna know what the deal is. It's for the
All right.
tournament.
Well, hold that thought. We got a special guest coming up next, and I don't want to take too long here talking about basketball based on the guests we have coming on. So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Meet Me at the Flagpoles. Have joining us none other than head coach of men's basketball, Coach Bryan Smith. Coach, how's it going?
It's going well. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing great. So, Coach, we know got 3 games left in this regular season, and you guys are grinding it out. It looks like there's a 4-way logjam here, sitting at 6 and 8. So, what do you see in these last 3 games as the key?
Well, actually, guys, we have 4 games left. We got
4
Mississippi
games
tomorrow. We got Alcorn State, Jackson State on the road. We got Texas Southern home on March 4th. So no matter 3 or 4, we're expecting to play some really good basketball and finish the season out strong and, get into the conference tournament where, it's wide open. Anything can happen.
Yep, Coach.
Yeah, it
I
seemed to
noticed.
be. Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead, Al. I was gonna
No, you
say
go
I
ahead.
noticed, Coach, that you at yesterday's game against Pine Bluff, I noticed that you went pretty deep on your bench. It looks like we have like up to a 8-man rotation, and the chemistry of the team is really gelling. It looks like you're really finding the rotation is really working well over the last couple of games. Can you speak to how have you kind of settled in what the rotation looks like. You've mixed your starters up a little bit. Can you speak on that?
It's pretty simple formula. If you you play hard and you play tough defense, you'll be in the rotation. If you don't, then you won't. So you make a comment about gelling. I'm not sure because you see different lineups out there all the time, and you see guys going in for short stints because sometimes they're not wired the right way. Obviously, the way the game is today, with the NBA being the focus for college and high school and AAU, scoring is the thing, and scoring sells tickets. But obviously, defense wins championships, and the teams that a la the University of Houston is a great example. It'll be number one team in the country when the polls come out tomorrow. It's because of their defense, and I always say defense is what gets you started. It's not enough of a focal point, I think, with a lot of programs, but it definitely is with us at Prairie View. So yeah, when these young men are wired the right way and they listen and they go out and they play defense, you'll see them out there quite a bit. If not, then it'll be like a revolving door.
So Coach, let's talk about, you brought in Yahuza Rosas this year, graduate transfer from TSU, and he fit right in kind of with your defense first philosophy, being number one in blocks and number two in steals. Talk about the impact he's made coming in as a graduate transfer.
I'll tell you what, without blowing him up too much, if every young student athlete were like Yahuza Rosas, I mean, this deal would be, it would be a lot different. He was someone that I targeted. He was number one on my board. For high school, junior college, grad transfer. You're right. I just thought he fit my style, my makeup, how we have played in the past with always being a defensive first, a gritty, grimy type of a team. We've kind of not been as much this past year and a half. But obviously wanting to get back to being that way. I thought Rosas was critical in that, and he hasn't disappointed. I mean, he plays every possession like it's his last. He plays with his heart. He gives you effort all the time. He's a great young man to coach. He's serious about life. He's going to transition in life. When the ball stops bouncing, he's going to do some great things in life, just in terms of, being in the workforce. But unbelievable kid, unbelievable spirit, warrior, if you will. Really, really glad that he's a Prairie View Panther. He really makes our job a lot easier in terms of coaching.
Yeah, we actually had a chance to have him on the show a little bit back, and he is a phenomenal young man. So we were really great to have him be a part of the team. So you spoke a little bit about U of H. So when you transferred out of U of H, I thought I read somewhere that you spent some time with the Harlem Globetrotters.
I did, yeah. I wanted to be a player, but they said I was too old. So
really?
They gave me a job as a coach. Which was a great experience, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Definitely got a chance to see how they do things and how they live, how they move. So, one of the things I'll be able to tell my grandkids one day that I had an opportunity to spend some time there. Definitely was a fulfilling experience, something I really enjoyed.
Now, do you ever get that feeling to bring some of that showmanship type charisma to the team here at Prairie View? Do you wish you had some of the guys like old guys? I mean, I'm dating myself, but I remember Curly and Twiggy, So.
Yeah, I like myself a lot. So yeah, I demonstrate a lot about what I used to do, shooting and ball handling all the time. Ask any of my players, they've got a lot of stories. So we have fun with it. It keeps me connected. These guys are, young men. And the fact I still like to play a lot and like to do a lot of things, try to stay active. I think it gives you a better connection with your players. Yeah. If you're just the coaches and standing over there yelling and screaming a bunch of instructions and, you don't look fit, you don't look the part, and you say, "Oh, I used to play," and they're looking at you and your stomach's hanging over your pants. I mean, come on, man. But if
it sounds like a little shade going in there.
I try to wear black a lot because it makes me look thin. I hold my stomach in a lot, and I make a lot of layups, so I'm able to connect with my guys, when I'm not coaching them. So, but no, it's I enjoy it. It's just a gift from God to be a part of this game, and I take it very seriously. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be at a great institution like Prairie View that's giving me an opportunity to be a head coach. So everything is positive. Great group of men. And we're just trying to push this thing forward and trying to get the most out that we can out of this 22-23 season.
Indeed.
There we go. So, Coach, you talked about your board, and I want to talk a little bit about recruiting. There's been some discussion going around basketball and football circles that the transfer portal has basically made junior colleges obsolete. The fact that you can now, instead of young men having to go back down to a JUCO to get another shot, where now they can just transfer to another school. What's the impact of that on JUCOs? And then what do you think that impact is of the portal on high school players trying to make their first step?
Well, you're right. It's made it tough on junior college and high school kids, and you really feel bad for them all their life. They work so hard to get an opportunity. It doesn't mean that they won't get that opportunity. It may just be a little bit delayed. The transfer portal, it has its pros and cons. For us, I mean, I think we probably got more grad transfers than anybody in the country. But that had a lot to do with the academic restrictions that were placed on us at Prairie View the last couple of years, which they've been eased a little bit here. So it's been very difficult to get high school kids in because of the tough academic standards. It's been pretty tough to get junior college guys in because we had a bunch of players that were kind of borderline having that GPA that Prairie View required. So it's made it very tough. So we've got 11 grad transfers on our roster, which I think is a few too many. So now with the laxed academic standards, not saying that we're going south, but they just kind of eased them up a little bit. Now we can kind of go back out. We've actually got one high school kid signed out of the greater Houston area, and we're going to sign another high school kid here in the spring signing period. So this will be the first time we have 2 scholarship freshman kids coming in, and we're going to hit the junior college trail pretty hard. I wanted to have a mixture. We're going to have we lose this entire roster pretty much with the exception of 2 or 3 guys. So we got to fill a lot of spots, but I just don't want to go the grad transfer or the portal route. I want to have a mixture, maybe 5 or 6 junior college kids, a couple high school kids, as I mentioned, and then maybe go get a few kids out of the portal because we need to have kids for more than 1 year. I think you see Alcorn is having a lot of success right now because Coach Bussey's been able to retain the majority, high percentage of his roster. We lost our entire team pretty much last year with the exception of a couple scholarship guys, I think 3 that we brought back. And we're going to lose the roster, the entire roster again this year with the exception of a couple. We got a few walk-ons that are pretty good that we'll probably end up scholarshiping. But again, I want it to be a little bit diverse, some high school kids, some junior college kids, and get some portal kids as well, so we can kind of, put together a group that can be together for a couple of years. And I think that'll give us a chance to be a little bit more successful and give us a chance to get back to be a top 2 or 3 team in the league, which you guys have become accustomed to us being there.
Yeah, Coach, is it the fact that we have so much risk in losing the players? Is that why we wouldn't go so heavy on some of those high school kids? Is that kind of
yes?
Okay,
absolutely. And I tell you why. Houston is I love Houston. Been here for a long time. Great place to live. Some of the youth basketball, the AAU culture is not conducive to kids having patience. So I'll give you an example. It's almost like a one and done mentality. If a young high school kid comes to Prairie View and he doesn't play right away, which most high school kids, if you ask me, they're not ready to play right away at Division I. I mean, there is a learning process, a learning curve that they have to go through that AAU doesn't prepare those guys for it, right? Most of the people that are involved in AAU that are coaching kids, and I call them influencers, they have no experience at being a Division I athlete. So I always say this, I always ask this question. It bothers people, but it goes like this. How can you lead a man to a place you've never gone?
Ooh,
that's a $64,000 question, right? So you have a lot of influencers that say, oh, yeah, you can go to Prairie View and, man, you can average 20 points a game. Well, they come there and they don't. Then it's Bryan Smith's not a good coach. He's holding me back, okay? So he's going to transfer out, right? Now that kid comes to Prairie View and he averages 20 points a game as a freshman. He's going to leave on you again because he's going to say, you know what, man, I'm good enough to go to U of H. I'm good enough to go to A&M. I'm good enough to go to Baylor. So you're kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't. That's why you have to be very careful with high school kids. Junior college kids, when you get those in and transfers, you know what, they don't have as much wiggle room to transfer because their clock is ticking. They don't have as much time. So you have a better chance of retaining a junior college kid or a transfer because he may only have 2 years or 1 year. A high school kid's got 4. He spends 1 with you. He's got 3 to go somewhere else. So you have to be very careful. You have to get the right one, and you have to spend time investing in the right kids to get them into your program.
Yep. So that sounds like that's making your job a lot more difficult. We were all very excited when the interim AD Gardner relaxed the GPA requirements because we knew that would allow coaches such as yourself access to a higher caliber of athlete and player. So with the statements you just made, gosh, what is your recruiting strategy then?
Well, my recruiting strategy is someone that's looking to come in from anywhere, from any area of the country. Obviously, you got to pay some attention to the local kids, but we don't care where they're from. In the United States, abroad, but we want kids to come in that first and foremost that are really, and I'm serious about this because I come from a family of educators, so education is prevalent and prominent with me. That wants to get a quality education, come in and have a great basketball experience. And to be able to learn some things there with us as leaders to transition out into society and have great impact. The ball's going to stop bouncing sooner than they think. The NBA's only got 440 jobs. Europe, the economy is bad in a lot of those places. They don't have the money to spend on American players as much as they used to. It's not the same amount of money. So it's not as attractive going to Europe in this day and age. So the ball's going to stop bouncing. So we want these kids to be able to be prepared to transition out into life and have great impact in terms of the workforce, if it's a teacher, if it's whatever the case may be. So that's my recruiting strategy. And if you check those boxes, we can help you get better as a basketball player. We can work with you and help you get better. So that's pretty much my recruiting strategy. To get the best student athlete available that wants to come in and continue the great tradition that Prairie View has set forth.
Coach, I tell you one thing, man. It is a joy watching you on the sideline. I come from my uncle is a basketball coach, and that passion that you guys bring, right, from start to finish is kind of intoxicating, right?
Yeah.
I often feel a little jaded when you're giving all that energy and the crowd is still sitting on the on the seats.
Yeah. I know, man. You know what? I think if you guys can find a way to get the microphone from Rick Godfrey and give it to me, I'll mix them suckers up. Hey, you think it's a rap concert in there, man? I have them all up on their feet, man. I got some motivating words for the crowd.
Got some bars for them, Coach?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
I tell you, man, this last game was really good. The band came through. They really elevated the energy in the dome. And I think that's kind of like what you and the players, they need to feed off of, especially when you trying to rally at the last moment like that. So, if there's anything you can tell alums and students, to help facilitate that rah-rah, sis boom bow, what would you tell them? What would you ask them?
Well, first of all, I appreciate everyone's effort and attention to come out. A lot of things they can be doing on a Saturday evening. People at work 5 days a week, they want time to rest. In terms of the adults, the students, obviously they've got studies. Some of them, obviously, want to go home and visit family, so forth and so on. So first of all, I appreciate the effort that they just show up. And I think it's growing, and I think it's imperative that we continue to put a good product out on the floor, something that they can enjoy watching. And I think if we continue to do that, because we've been a bit up and down this year, we had a lot of injuries, we've had some inconsistencies in playing together, playing as a unit. And I think we're kind of getting on the other side of that. So I think with that, sometimes the crowd may be like, I don't know how these guys are going to be tonight. They were really good against Washington State, but then they played against such and such, and they lose a lot of close games, which in the past we always won. So I think some of it's on us. I don't just put it on the crowd. Okay. I think once we become more consistent and we can sustain longer efforts of good basketball, I think that will correct the problem. And I don't know if it'll ever be standing room only. But I do think that we can kind of capture their attention a little bit more and make them want to yell and scream and cheer a little louder.
Man, team effort all the way around.
Absolutely.
There we go. Well, Coach, we sure appreciate you taking out your time. You know, you got a busy schedule. Got these last 4 games. We look forward to you guys making it into the conference tournament and making some noise.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. You guys pray for me. I'm getting ready to go and play in my 50 and over league. All my teammates, they really hate on me over there because they keep on saying I won't pass them the ball. I don't understand what the problem is. Listen, I continue to tell them, listen, it's not that I don't believe in your abilities. I just believe in mine more. And I think that I got a better chance to score the basketball. So, I mean, they just keep pointing fingers and ganging up out in the parking lot. And I finally realized they were talking about me. So, Jesus, pray for me, guys.
Hey,
All right, Coach. All right, Coach, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care. Don't blow out no knees out there, Coach. All right. So we'll be right back with the We Ready shout-outs. All right, and we are back with the We Ready shout-outs. So who you got? Who you got?
I'll go first. I'm gonna be repetitive in my shout out. I shout out Mark Falls last week. I'm gonna follow it up again. I called into the Prairie View's National Alumni Association meeting this Saturday just to hear specifically what our president had to say about the letters that went back and forth, and then the path forward for us voicing our concern and making some motion and gaining some traction with the A&M Board of Regents in regards to the leadership, the future leadership of our school. Listen to him in his first couple minutes of commentary, man. It was painful. You could see the kind of the pain that he's holding, in specific to well, he didn't go into detail on the plan of action. He stated in his letter, he kind of stood on what his letter stated, that they got a plan, they've got a committee, and they're working that plan. But he did say that he spoke about how folks are talking about him behind his back, calling him Uncle Tom, calling him this, that, and the other, complaining about his demeanor. And, I've had my criticisms about it too, but you really could see that shit pissed him off. Just to speak plain about it. Yeah, hey, we grown.
Yeah.
He also spoke about, his experience dealing with racism and fighting racism at during his career at the Johnson Space Center, and how he took the lead on that, and how it caused him to his career progression to be stagnant from that point forward. But it was needed. He stepped up because it was what was needed at the time. It needed a leader, and he took that leadership mantle. So he's confident that he is prepared for this moment in time to lead Prairie View through this hurdle, this obstacle that we have to deal with overcoming these racial and bigotry issues that we're dealing with from the A&M Board of Regents. I think the two items that he also kind of alluded to was the conflict of some people wanting to work within the system and some people wanting to work outside of the system. Regardless of how you feel about it, however he and his committee choose to approach it, we need to all be unified as one, is basically what he said. And the motto that our fraternity, Epsilon Gamma Iota, goes by is, through unity we shall prevail. And I assure you that is the only way that Prairie View A&M University is going to make any movement with this, because divided we will fail, most certainly
on either side. You're right.
Anyway, not to go too long, but hey, let's all get behind the person that we elected, and regardless of what he decides to do, we got to roll with it.
One band, one sound.
Yeah. I know that sounded a lot like a locker room talk, but I hope he's ready. I hope he's ready.
I know. I have a question.
I know we want to say he was ready, but I hope he's ready, man, because that is what he's about to tackle, right, is a very political and strategic situation that most are not ready to deal with. and I just hope he's ready. That's all I'll say. I hope we're ready.
We ready. It ain't him. It's
Yeah,
we.
I hope we ready.
Unity.
Yeah, but you are absolutely right. On that same track, I definitely want to shout out Dr. Simmons. Um, as eloquent as that letter was that she wrote, I think all of us as alums, supporters, even those that just read it on social media outside of the PV family, they could tell that it was way more that was present and going on that she had just had it with than what she wrote in that letter. And I even got a chance to tell her that last night about, we could tell that it was a lot of cryptic messages that you put out in that letter, and all she could do was just shake her head and just nod and laugh. And but she's definitely handling this situation with the grace of a queen. And I just want to let everybody know, hey man, she was ready regardless. Even in stepping down, she was ready.
She stayed ready.
Yeah,
She's still there at the game supporting.
Still there.
I'd have chunked the deuce and told all of y'all to go to hell.
See,
that's my
Shanetta.
She's there for the kids. She's there for the students. Yeah. But no, I missed last week, and I hadn't even listened to the show last week. My bad. So I don't know if you all talked about the first HBCU in Texas to offer the BS and BA in public health. Did they cover that last week?
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Okay. So shout out to PV for being the first to do that. And then also I was reading where we're going to be the first HBCU to lead a national university. So shout out.
See, the devil busy messing with Shanetta Wi-Fi. I think you were bringing up the fact that PV was going to be participating in the Department of Transportation project. We were going to be the first HBCU to participate in that. I think it was the infrastructure project with the Department of Transportation.
Yes, and we got a $4 million check to create.
Yes. All right.
Dallas Wi-Fi fixed.
So I'll take us out of here. We know Shanetta's is going to be a little bit late. So here we go. PV. You know. Yeah, it ain't there, but it's all right. We'll get there.
Last week wasn't too bad after I listened to it. I was like, that ain't too bad.
See? And we out. All right.